tulips. And so I want to show you first how to draw these, and then we're going to use our Tombow markers to create the watercolor look that you see on here, okay? Now, there's going to be several steps in this, so we'll take it step by step. I'll walk you through what to do, and we will make an amazing masterpiece that you will be super proud of. All right, let's get started. So today what I have is my watercolor paper. I also have my Sharpie, I have my Tombow markers, and then I have also my brush with water. And I'm going to show you a way to do your background if you want to with like a Ziploc bag, if you want to do that. Totally up to you if you want to do it that way. If you don't want to do it the way I do it with this, then all you're going to do is color in the areas that you want, to do your background one color. You would just color it in. But I'm going to show you a fun way before we even get started with coloring in with drawing in our tulips. I'm going to show you a fun way to do a background on this, and so that way you can just decide what you want to do. All right. So if I wanted to do a background, I'm going to think about the colors that I would have in here. And I'm going to do like some red and yellow and pink tulips. And then my leaves will be green and my background is blue on here. So I want to think about doing like some red or some blue and green for my background. So I'm going to color right on my bag. And this, I know it looks like it's not going to be much, but it's going to make a really cool abstract type background. And what I want to do is just color on top of it. Just coloring in all of this. And I know that my leaves will be green, but I want to go ahead and add some green in here. I'm going to do a little bit on top of that blue. Not a ton on top of each other because I don't want it to get into the tip of my marker. But let's just see what we get. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull that off to the side, and then I'm going to lay down some water on my paper. I got a little bit of dirt or something on there. And I want to just lay water straight on my paper. So if you've ever done watercolors with me or with any other teacher, this is called a wet on wet technique. And what you do is you put down water first, and then you lay down your color. And what this does is it allows the paint to move freely within the boundaries of that water. So what I'm going to do now, I'm laying this, I'm turning it so that my markers are face down, all right? And I am going to, I think I'm going to do this where I lay it down vertically like this in landscape or in portrait mode, and you can already see what these fun markers are doing. And I can tell where I have put water down and where I have not, so you can see I don't have much water in these areas. So I'm going to take this and we're going to just put some water down, and I didn't pull my plastic up all the way. So you do want to, and I could have checked in the light to see if I had water everywhere. I just didn't. So if you're not sure, you can check and see where you have water, where you don't, all of that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to go back and lay this down again, and I should have enough water now to kind of move this plastic around. You're going to get these cool shapes and lines where you have the plastic kind of crinkled up where it wrinkles. And then when I pull this up, I have a really cool abstract background. So what I need to do now is just either take a dry brush, or I can use a paper towel and kind of soak up some of these puddles and then let it dry. So that's going to be my first step. So you can tell how different these backgrounds look based on how I did my markers in the background, okay? So I'm gonna let this dry, and then we will come back and work on drawing in our tulips, okay? Okay, so I have this nice and dry. I'm gonna move this plastic out of my way so I don't stick my hand in it. And I'm gonna go to my Sharpie. Now, if you want to use a pencil, feel free to do this with pencil first and then go back over it with Sharpie. But I'm gonna draw this so it's easier for you to see it with Sharpie first, okay? So what I wanna do is I want to start by drawing out one of my tulips. I'm not gonna worry about the stems and the leaves just yet. I'm gonna get all of my tulips in, and then we will go in and draw our stems and our leaves, okay? So I wanna think about tulips. They are nice and tall, but they have like a nice tall stem. So they kind of lean over to the side a little bit if they're not held into some kind of structure, okay? So I'm gonna start with one in the middle right here. And what I wanna do is draw a U shape right there in the middle, okay? And then I'm gonna kind of come up and go across my U shape. So I did a U shape first, and then we're gonna cross over it, and that's gonna create that first petal. Then I'm gonna come up. I didn't get that quite tall enough for my liking, so I'm gonna come up and go back across, but I'm gonna stop when I get to that cross line, okay? So first step, U, then I'm gonna cross back over, and then we're gonna do that same thing, but we're gonna stop at that line right there. So now I'm gonna come up, and we're gonna create a petal across the middle. So drawing kind of a mountain shape across the middle. That's gonna create the look of our first tulip. Like I said, we're gonna worry about our stems and our leaves in just a minute. I'm gonna do that same thing 2 more times, but on one, I'm gonna add a couple more petals. It's opened up a little bit more. So we're gonna open it up, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm gonna go up a little bit on my paper over here. We're gonna do that U shape again, and it's kind of a mix between a V and a U, a little bit skinnier U shape. And I'm gonna come down, and we're gonna get that first petal there, and then we're gonna go across again, and then our mountain shape is gonna be in the middle, just like that, okay? Now, here is ours that's gonna be a little bit more open, and I wanna do the same thing. We're gonna go through those same steps again, but this time we're gonna add a few more petals when we get started after we do our mountain shape, okay? So I'm gonna draw some more mountain shapes in the back right here. These are gonna go behind the rest of my petals. All right. So there are my tulips. All I have left to do is the stems and the leaves. So I am going to come down, and these are gonna go pretty much straight down. Remember, they're not real big stems, okay? So nice and skinny on the stems. We're gonna let these kind of bend over a little bit as if they're kind of flopping over, all right? In the town that I live in, we have a tulip festival. We have a place that is built to look like colonial America. And every year for the last, I guess, 5 years or so, they have done a tulip festival. So in the fall or winter, they go in and they plant tulip bulbs. And by the end of February, 1st of March, we have tulips that are growing in all kinds of varieties. So lots of different colors and textures and all sorts of things. And it's always so much fun to go out there and to look at the tulips, but you can also pick them and take them home with you. And so I always enjoy going and getting some and bringing them either to the studio or to my home and enjoying those nice fresh flowers. So we're gonna go in now and draw our leaves. So the leaves on tulips are nice and wide, but they're long. So they kind of flop over like the flowers do as well. And so I'm gonna come up a little bit from here, and we're gonna go in and draw like an arch. So we're gonna draw that arch there, and you can come down as low as you want to, it does not matter. And I'm gonna come back up here, kind of in the middle of that arch, and I'm gonna draw a curved line down, okay? Then I'm gonna come over towards the middle, and I'm gonna draw a line that's curved, kind of curves the same as this arch over here, and meets this one at a point. And what this does is it gives you the look of this leaf kind of folding over on itself, all right? I'm gonna draw a line down the middle there, and down the middle there, and that's gonna give us that look that this leaf is folded over. Now to finish off that look, I'm gonna curve this line here back towards that, that first side of the arch, okay? So we've got the underside there, we've got the top of it over here where it's folded over, and then we're ready for that one. If we want to color it in more, we can, or we can leave it with just this background showing through, okay? On this side, we're gonna do something similar, but we're not gonna fold it over. We're just gonna let this one kind of go off the paper, okay? So it's gonna go off the edge, and we're gonna come down from here, and we're gonna go out like that. And then I'm just gonna draw a line, because I usually have a line down the middle, just like that. All right, now I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna draw one that's gonna go behind one of these stems. It's up to you. I think I got a little bit too much going on over here, so I think I'm gonna come to this side, on that side of this tulip, and I'm gonna stop in between these two stems. And then I'm gonna go again, and because my brain is telling me that that leaf is gonna be going behind that, that stem. So I don't really have to worry about drawing that line through there, all right? And we're gonna come up and meet that line there. I'm gonna draw my line down the middle one more time. And those, my friends, are done. So here is the next step. I've already done my background this way. Like I said, if you don't want the more abstract background, feel free to go in and color in your background. I will show you how I did the leaves to make them look this way, and we'll do a little bit more on here with the leaves and the stems, but I do like the way the background looks. What we're gonna do now is go in and color in our tulips, all right? And it's up to you what color you do wear. That does not really matter. I'm gonna go in on top of this green, and I am just coloring in a good amount of my tulip with pink, okay? Now, I know earlier in a lesson we talked about not having to fill in all of the space. Okay, so I'm wanting to make sure that I get a good amount of this pink in here, mainly because I already have this green behind it. So that's gonna blend in some when we put the water on here. And then I just wanna make sure that it's inside my lines. Now it's up to you, like I said, what colors you use where. Okay, so I'm gonna color this one in with yellow, and I'm probably gonna come back with some orange. We'll see how much that green blends in with this yellow when we put some water on it. And then on this last one, I'm gonna do it in red. And I know it's gonna be similar to the pink, but it will be a little bit different, a little bit darker with the color. So I'm gonna go in, fill all that in. We're gonna do all of these spaces. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm actually gonna go back and go ahead and do my water, but I wanted to show you too how to do the leaves so that they have this little bit of variation in them, where it's darker and then lighter, okay? So what I wanna do is go in, and I'm just gonna go around the edges I'm not gonna do the whole thing, so I'm just kind of outlining with this green. And this is gonna make this kind of stand out from the rest of the background. And we're just outlining those areas there. Now, my next step is to take the yellow and kind of go in the middle of all of this. Because Sharpie is waterproof, it's not gonna smear and get in the middle of my color. So I won't have any issues with that. Alright, so now I'm gonna take my brush and I'm gonna go in and work on kind of blending these two together. I still want to be able to see that background. That's why I just outlined instead of coloring in the whole thing, because I still want that background to kind of show through where I did it with the bag. And if you'll notice, I haven't done my stems yet, but we're going to let everything dry and then we'll come back and work on the stems when we get done. So now you can see these leaves are kind of standing out, but they also work with the background. They don't cover up the background completely, but they do stand out a little bit more than they did before. Okay, so now I'm going to go in. I'm going to start with my yellow, getting it kind of filled in. And because my green has already dried, it is mixing in a little bit, but not completely. So I don't really have to worry about it too much. I am going to go back in with that pink. And if you'll notice, the difference between this picture, and I'll pull the other one back up too, is my pinks and my yellows are a little bit more muted just because of the green behind them. We're going to get that red filled in there. And this is what we were talking about earlier in our lesson on the color wheel and mixing greens and reds together, because it just kind of mutes it a little bit. So let me show you the difference. You can see how that pink is super bright on this one, but it's a little bit more muted on that one. The yellow is brighter. I added orange in with it, and it's a little greener on this one. And then my red is a lot brighter as well. Hey.
Hey. The back.
Okay, so we're gonna let this dry completely. You can leave it like it is if you want to, or you could come back and add some other shades of colors on top of your flowers. I kind of like it the way it is on this one, just because I've got that other, color in the background. And so we're gonna leave that as it is. I went ahead and added my green in here to my stems. And if you want to kind of make it look like everything else, all you gotta do is come in and just run your brush in the stem, just kind of blending that green in a little bit, and you are done, my friend. If you wanted to do the background like this one, all you've got to do is do our flowers just like we did. You would just delete this step and add your background at the end. And so all I did was just color this in, and I made sure to go back after it was dry and color in with my blue marker. Okay, so that's the only difference in those two, and you can make it look whichever way you would like to. And then you can sign it when you're done. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see what you create.